You are listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, don't give up.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today we're here with Elizabeth DiCristofano. She is a functional medicine certified health coach. Elizabeth sets out to inspire women, especially women over 40, to take back their life and vitality by getting to the root cause of their overall health. Elizabeth's career was mainly in an apparel corporate world, working for companies including New York Designer, brand, and Fortune 500 companies. A career that was not sustainable. And in the midst of her starting her own health journey, she experienced burnout. Like, who wouldn't? We've all been there. Elizabeth started building her own business in her 40s and offers her services as a health coach to help high achieving and high performing entrepreneur females between the ages of 40 and 60 years old who needs to operate at peak state in order to meet the high demands of corporate life and family life and social life in every area in which she is really familiar with. She is a host of an alternative health and wellness podcast, The Root of Our Health, which ties in with her mission of changing behaviors and empowering entrepreneurial women in their 40s and beyond to know their self-worth. Girl, you're talking to me. I'm your demographic.
Great.
Welcome
That's
to the
awesome.
show.
Thank you so much, Jana, for having me. It is a pleasure being here.
I am like truly your demographic. So I'm so excited to hear what you have to say today. But first, we always ask our guests to share a story of hope, because honestly, I think our stories and our journeys of hope are like our superpowers. Like, they're the scars that we're the most proud of. And when we share that with the world, it's like a heartbeat going out and it helps with change. So do you want to share yours today?
Sure. Thank you for asking. And first, I want to say on that, when I was getting my certification as a functional medicine health coach, we were doing this survey. It's like your character strengths survey. And one of my 5 top character strength was hope. I think it even came in number 3. So I do have a story of hope. And in my life, it's going to be a really short story, very, very condensed version. Throughout my life, I was not healthy. I started as a really heavy-set kid, bullied, teased, all of that stuff. Then went into anorexia because I vowed I wasn't going to be fat anymore. Through all of that, I ended up, getting out of the anorexia state. But I had a social life, and that social life brought into partying. So one thing after another distracted me from reality. I don't think I really had that self-esteem, self-confidence in myself. And so I kept having outside validation. And that was what was driving me forward. So that kind of took me all the way through my 20s, and then met my husband, which, he was the love of my life, basically, because he brought me back to reality, back to who I was as a person. So in that, though, there was still a struggle of who am I? What do I want in life? And it is this hope of, I am somebody special. Everybody is somebody special. We are not perfect, even though I think every day that sometimes I am, meaning that I strive for perfection, but there's always this hope inside me that what I have endured in my life, the choices that I made in my life, did not have to dictate my future. So I had that choice of overcoming all those adversities in my life, not only mental health, but also physical health. And ended up, obviously, right before I got certified, I sought a functional medicine doctor for this condition I didn't even know existed, called adrenal fatigue. And that was the last straw in my health, meaning I was not taking care of myself in terms of stress. And I think that stress kind of built on throughout my life, and it just kept festering and festering, and always the achieving. And I finally took control of it. And this was only 3 years ago. So understanding there is hope coming out of all of the despair, all of the, and I'm not saying, that I had it the worst. Obviously, we all have gone through struggles in our life, but it's how we come out at the end, and still grow through those struggles, those learning lessons that keep us moving forward. And that is why I teach other women over 40, just because of what I endured in my 40s. And I just understand, that we have the ability to take back our life and take back our health.
I love it. I think that one of the struggles for women in their 40s is that they feel like they don't have time for themselves to take care of their health, because come on, look at all the hats we're wearing, especially if you're in corporate America. Like, you have your corporate life, and then you have your home life where you're wearing the taxi driver hat, the cook cleaning hat, the referee hat, the teacher hat, the nurse hat. Like, there's so many hats. And we forget to put on the self-care hat or the like pay attention hat. And I feel like intuitively our bodies are telling us like something's going on, right? Something's coming, pay attention. And until those big red flags hit us, or those symptoms that we can't ignore anymore hit us, then we pay attention. And we're taking up probably more time than we would have had we just found a coach like you, or somebody who puts that mirror up in our face and just lets us see like what that looks like. Yeah. So I love what you're doing. And I think your demographic is amazing, because those are the women literally who are trying to do it all.
Yes. We're trying to be Wonder Women. And it gets harder as we age, because not only are we trying to take care of our immediate family, meaning, our husbands, our kids, whatever, but we're also trying to take care of older family members. They're passing away. So we're going through the change of hormones, the change of just everything in general. And then top it off, if you're wanting to be that high achiever, then you have your stress of your career, your position. So it's a time to understand that grace is very important to have in your life. And that is, like you said, to take that self-care, take that step back. Yeah.
So I was literally in my 50s when an illness woke me up. And I feel like, why do we have to wait for that wake up call? Like, why? And we were just talking like with, I just had my summer with my grandkids, which I see every summer, all 7 of them. And I remember my mom telling me when I was raising my kids, because I was in that busy mode, right? That busy mode, creating, being it all the time. And she's like, you had better be careful, because you're going to blink and it will be gone. And I blinked and it was gone. And now as a grandmother, it's a do-over for me. If my grandkids call, the world stops. I make eye contact. I make sure they understand I'm in that moment listening to them. Yeah. And I do that with everyone around me now, because I realize how precious those moments are, because they are like literally gone in a blink. So when you are in that go mode, that superwoman mode, you're hurting yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. And that trickle effect goes down to those precious little people around you.
Yep. You said it, it's people are going to be there forever. Right. I lost my dad. I lost a lot of family members in my life. And even friends that, unfortunately passed away from cancer, like really, really young. But, it takes those moments to really understand how precious life is, and how we do not only have to be in the moment and be mindful of what's going on in other people's lives, but in our own too. So sharing those memories, sharing those moments, because those are the only memories and moments you're going to get for the rest of your life. You never know. So it is just understanding that life, I think somebody said in a podcast or somewhere, to where nobody ever said on their deathbed, oh, I wish I would have worked harder, right? No, it's, oh, I wish I would have had more time with this person. So why do we have to wait until then to be aware of that? So
I agree. So for women who are 40, 50, 60, me, and they're coming to you like with, that sounds great, but that's just not reality. That just can't happen. And I'm sure you hear that all the time. You don't understand. Like, I have this and I'm responsible for that. Your number one responsibility is you,
Yes.
right? That's your
Yes.
number one responsibility. What do you say to women when they come to you with that?
Well, I kind of take them a step back. Like you said, it's like all of those great, those things are great. Those accomplishments, those things that you have in your life are great. Don't stop it, but just understand that if you keep going like this, you will be able to do those things. You'll be either, burnt out, which is exhaustion all the time, or, you'll be in the hospital. Something's going to give. So why are we not taking precautions or, ahead of time? And I'm not saying get rid of anything. I don't think getting rid of anything has anything to do with it. It's implementing one small thing in everybody's life, right? It's not adding and it's not subtracting. It's basically saying we all have 24 hours in a day. How are we going to spend those 24 hours? Now let's look at the schedule. Let's look at how we could get 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, meditate or just breathe. I think the first thing that I say to my clients is just breathe. Just let's have a 2-minute breathing practice. And they think that that's silly because we should know how to breathe, but we don't when we're stressed out. We don't when we're on the go constantly. We have shallow breathing or not even breathing at all. And that in itself causes more harm in not only your parasympathetic it gets into the sympathetic nervous system. You have that fight or flight, which then turns into stress, which is just like then snowballs because we're not breathing properly. We're not thinking properly. So just stepping back and breathe. So that's just the one thing that I say to them is let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's not make any more additions and stress in your life. We want to obviously manage that. So how do we do that? Let's start simple. Let's start from the basics.
I love that because it is just one little change that can change your life because we feel like we have to do all the things.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember when you first went to college, but you might have 8 years ahead of you if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And that very first day, it's so overwhelming. Like, how am I ever going to do this? But they have a plan, right?
Yeah.
You go here, you go there, you do this, you do that. And the next thing you know, the years fly by and you're walking across the stage. And there's no reason why you can't have a life plan like that. It doesn't have to be so overwhelming. And when you work with a coach like you, they have that plan to help you out. Do this one little thing, do that one little thing. And the next thing you know, your whole life opens up.
Right. And I always say that to my clients. I say, let's have that bigger vision. Let's have that bigger vision, that why of why you want to get healthy or your why that's keeping you going. But at the same time, though, that huge goal or that huge vision, let's break it down to smaller goals, smaller steps, because it's in those small wins that gets to that bigger win, that vision that you want. So yeah, I agree.
So tell us a little bit about who your clients are. So what I liked about you is you're very niche oriented. And the more people hear that word, it's kind of trendy, but the truth of the matter is the more we niche down and get in our zone of genius, it works so much better for everyone instead of dragging someone that didn't quite fit what you're doing. And you are one of the most niche driven person that I've read. I'm like, this girl knows her zone of genius and she's living in it. So tell us a little bit about who that client is. Like, who are you helping?
I'm helping, how I came on, onto this niche was obviously it was me. I was trying to help myself through it because when I worked with a functional medicine doctor, I didn't have a health coach. And I wish I did. So it was more or less taking what I went through, and especially the high achieving that corporate world that I have gone through 18 years of my life, and still wanting to put a lot out in the world, but understanding that I can't do it all. So really, I kind of took what I went through as my, not only my story into what I'm, doing now, but as the client, as the customer that I'm reaching out to. Because sometimes I need to learn what I teach. You teach what you want, what you need to learn, right? Even though I have gone through a lot of the stress management tips that I have, I'm giving out. Also, obviously the meditation, I'm doing all the morning routines, all the healthcare. I still am the one that slip up. I still get, my digestion isn't always the greatest. So then it's like, okay, well, what would health coach Elizabeth say? So it's in that I kind of emulate, and I see even it local here. I'm near Indianapolis. So even local here, I've noticed there's a lot more of an older women and whatnot. And I see what they're doing, what they're going through. And it's kind of like opening my eyes, and it's not just the stress and it's not just the work, it's also the hormones that are coming into play, the menopause, the everything that kind of goes a little haywire kind of as you turn 40. It's just kind of incorporating all of these things that kind of go into play. And sometimes even women over 40 need somebody to talk to every now and then. That's why I do what I do.
I feel that women over 40, 50, and even 60 are crushing it. They're starting new careers. They're confident in who they are and where they're going. And they're creating what I call a generational change. The changes they're making are going to affect our children's children's children. And to me, that is like the most exciting thing to see, because they're figuring it out. It used to be, we did not ask for help from a coach. Like we didn't, nope, we got this. That means we're weak. We got this. And now women are understanding, and men, but they're understanding that's good. It's good to sit there and get it all out and have that mirror put back up in front of us so we can see what it really looks like that, we're going through. So I just think they're just becoming so empowered that I love it. And I love that they're reaching out to coaches.
Yes. And I think those are the women who understand what they are capable of, right? They're the women who understand in their life that, yes, I am making an impact in this world. And there are so many women like that. I'm actually getting into women-owned businesses. Like I'm trying to, offer my services for women-owned businesses. And even locally, I had no idea how many women-owned businesses there are. And I was shocked and excited at the same time. So it is those women who are understanding, I have gone through this life, up to 40, 50 and whatnot. I know what I am capable of. And there's a point to where I need to raise my hand and say, I need help. And those are the women that are coachable, right? Those are the women who are saying, I do need your service. And because I want to thrive in not only my business, but in, like you mentioned before, social life, in family life, in everything, in order for us to thrive when we're in our 70s and not have to call it quits like everybody thinks we should. If we're having a good time, if we're loving what we do, our bodies need to match that, right? So that's why a health coach comes into play, along with, I'm sure, business coaches for them as well. So they're an understanding of, in order to grow, in order to get to that next level, and in order to keep going and thriving, there has to be somebody along the way to keep them not only accountable, but to cheerlead them all that way.
I think you're 100% true. And I literally am seeing women my age. I'm going back to school and I just turned 60.
Nice.
I'm seeing women just expanding that you would never see before. It's like when you hit that certain age, started slowing down. and you stop doing things. But no, they're creating businesses. They're doing yoga and running marathons. And it's like so inspiring for me. And again, that trickle effect of all those little eyes that are watching you. It's just amazing. I'm excited about the next generation and the generation after that because of what we're doing.
I am too. I think women now, even though, people say that there still needs to be a lot of work, I think we're in that right direction, in the paradigm shift to where it's just going to accelerate even more. So I'm excited as well. And that is why I am doing what I am doing for these women, to help them along with that, to be able to, be able to help the other younger generations.
One of the things you just said, I have two granddaughters and one's 13. And she told me during this last election, you'll never see a woman president or a woman in power. They don't let women do that. And my response to her was, maybe not yet. Having said that, I've never seen anyone in power that wasn't influenced by a woman. They all had a mom. They all had a mom that influenced who they were and inspired them and motivated them and moved them. And so you have a lot more power than you realize.
Yes. I mean, and that's something that we have to hold dear, right? It's not that we have to always achieve that thing. It's who are we inspiring along the way to achieve presidency or to achieve the others. That in itself, to me, is one of the greatest things ever, is who are we inspiring?
That is very powerful. I definitely want to talk a little bit about your podcast, The Root of Our Health.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what that is, what people are going to hear on it, because I love podcasts. I'm obsessed with them.
So am I. I'm a podcast junkie, hence why I wanted to start it a long time ago, but it just didn't feel right until I knew who I was, as a sort of, as a functional medicine health coach, and who I wanted to serve. And it's still mainly women over 40. I do have episodes that have to deal with menopause. There are some questions that I ask my guests on, how does this serve women over 40? So I still want to keep it in that niche. However, there are certain other episodes as well that can be for anybody, men, female, any age. And it's just a general overview of an alternative health and wellness life. So it's getting to the root cause of our health in general, and that is a holistic view. So, for example, it really interesting. I had a guy on that was talking about scalar light.
Oh, and I know who he is.
Oh, you do, Tom? Yeah. So it was something that obviously was just way over my head and just couldn't fathom that was going on. But it's something that's very interesting to see another natural way, an alternative way to live healthier, that we don't have to rely on all of these drugs and all of these, the healthcare system and all of that. There are so many other ways that we could take control back of our health. And that is why I put it out and have these guests on, is let's try it. You never know what could happen. Obviously, always saying that it's only for education. But that's what it is. It's just knowledge. It's giving knowledge of my own world as well as in terms of my solo episodes. I kind of, give a little snapshot into what knowledge I have in terms of, health and wellness, and what's going on in the world. Sometimes we just have to have that hard conversation. But yeah.
I love it. I love your energy. I love your message. Tell people where they can connect with you.
Sure. I have a website. So it is elizabethDiCristofano.com. I have an ebook on there as well. So you can go ahead and click that. That is actually 5 powerful ways to start your day for a productive day. And it's really, having an awesome morning. Other than that, you could find me on Instagram, Elizabeth.DiCristofano, and of course, my podcast, The Root of Our Health, and everything else will be yeah, that's it.
We're going to put everything in the show notes so you guys can find Elizabeth really quickly and go listen to the podcast. Oh my gosh, I love podcasts. It's like you're getting bits of genius from all over the world in these quick 30, 45-minute episodes, sometimes even 15. And I do it when I'm walking, I do it in the car. And it's just like feeding your soul a little bit. So I kind of love it. So go check out her podcast, get her free ebook, and start using the 5 tips. Just have a wonderful day. Like, I love it. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.